All right, everybody, we are live here at FNGO. It's time for the lunch break, Tuesday, October 14th. Hope everybody is doing well out there, having a fantastic day. And of course, as soon as I get started, I get a text from somebody like that. You never know. It might be family. You always got to check them. Could be an emergency. So there's a couple of you guys already out there. We got a pretty interesting topic for today we'll get to. I want to take care of some business while we are waiting for everybody to jump on. Again, if you're not subscribed to the channel on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Like, I need one more for 9,000. Like, I had 9,000 yesterday, and then overnight I must have made somebody mad, and so they popped off, and now I don't have them anymore. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Toys for Tots tournament, December 6th, Laurel Park. $5,000 guaranteed first place prize. $80 buy-in, $60 to the pot, $20 to big fish, one unopened toy per angler. If you're a Phoenix boat owner, if you win it, you can get some Phoenix contingency money. Again, for the Pickens County and Hall County Toys for Tots, you're going to blast off in the order of which you sign up. So if you're interested in signing up, hit me up now. I'll get you signed up. What's up, everybody out there? I know it takes a few minutes for you YouTube guys to get on. I guess they go through the commercials or whatever. I've never watched my show, so I don't know what actually happens once I hit the live button. But how about them? How about them Dirty Birds, right? Beat the old Buffalo Bills, and I like Buffalo. I actually enjoyed watching that game last night, just waiting the entire time for them to figure out a way to blow it, but they did not blow it, so therefore we got the win. They're looking pretty good the last two games. Who knows what will happen? It's kind of like Georgia Tech. I'm so glad Georgia Tech is ranked 12th and is 6-0, but the last time Georgia Tech was 6-0, they ended up the season 8-5. So going to take some time with them, see how it's going with them. Let them kind of play themselves into it before I start jumping the bandwagon. And again, guess what? For you young guys, you will not remember this, but 33 years ago today, do you guys know what happened 33 years ago today? Give you a second. See if any of you guys out there. Doug, you might remember this. Jeff, I don't know, maybe possibly you remember this, but 33 years ago today, where were you? Where were you when Francisco Cabrera singled into left field against the Pittsburgh Pirates and Sid Bream's slow ass come rounding third, headed to home, slid into the plate, and you remember, depending on who you was watching or who you were listening to, Braves win, Braves win, Braves win, Braves win. 33 years ago today, I can tell you exactly where I was at. I was sitting in my kitchen in a single wide off of 141, wife in the bed watching the TV, had a black and white TV in the kitchen, watching that game. When they screamed he was safe, jumping up and down, had nobody to celebrate with, like a freaking idiot. I was jumping up and down. And I remember her coming in there going, what the hell's going on? What is happening? And I'm like, we're going to the series. We're going to the World Series. And, oh, are you serious? And then went back in there and went to bed. I mean, it was just me and a black and white TV. That tells you how long ago it was. You remember them guys, little 14-inch or 16-inch black and white TV, sitting on the counter right next to the refrigerator. And I had the kitchen. I forget why I wasn't watching it in the living room. I don't even remember. But I had the chair pulled up just watching it. And I remember that. Spilling my beer, Carver said. Listen, I'm probably still sore from how it probably did some permanent damage when I jumped that night, how high I jumped. But if you go back and watch it now, I wonder if they've ever put that under replay. Was he really safe? Replay. I'm sure maybe he was, but I'm telling you what, thankful Sid Bream was safe, but you go back and watch it now, and I mean, hell, I think Matt Olson runs faster than Sid Bream. That whole play took 33 and a half seconds, and Barry Bonds, the one time in his career he didn't make a perfect throw or whatever, but it was a good time. I was 9 years old watching it in Douglasville, Georgia. I remember all but crying, being so excited. Oh, this topic's going to trigger old cheater Randy B. Yeah, we'll get to that. We're going to get to that. And I'll tell you why. We'll go ahead and jump into it. And in the time permitting, I'll show you the wacky worm thing a viewer sent me and some other stuff. Now, yesterday in the comment section, all right, guys, when I'm over here, I'm reading TikTok and I'm reading all your comments. And I try to pick out, I don't get to every single comment. I try to pick out the ones that just like stare at me. And I did address, I believe it was some scratch fishing or something. We were kind of talking about Tucker Smith and his win on Gunnersville in the Ultimate Angler. And he had some comments that, at the time, I mean, I was just trying to answer them and just go, with the flow. But I really was not paying attention to the comment section going on. And sometimes you guys have your own, conversations going on in the comment section. And then when I got home last night, I seen Tony put out a video basically addressing what was going on in the comment section. And like sometimes I can kind of keep up with it. Sometimes I just absolutely miss it. So yesterday I kind of missed a lot of the comments, and I went back yesterday and read them. This morning I went back and read yesterday's comments. And a lot of people took it as him basically calling out Tucker Smith in various shapes or forms. And then, it just different levels and all that. And it seemed like it got addressed pretty good in the comment section. Sometimes it polices itself. I don't have to deal with it. You guys have seen me deal with it, comment a time or two. Most of the time I don't have to. But it got going yesterday. And of course, worked itself out, I'm sure. But I got home last night and I got to thinking, after seeing Tony's video and everything. We all know that anytime there is a big cheating scandal whatsoever, social media is all over it. Even before, a polygraph is given or anything like that, we know about it, right? You can't get away with it, or at least not be known. We know how Bass, MLF, and the NPFL kind of handle their situations. And most of the time with them, it's a rule infraction, something small. Alex says, I did my best to be nice. So you guys were taking it in a much different light than I was at the time, because, again, I'm supposed to be Switzerland here and let everybody have their say. So I totally missed it. The tone, I guess, at the time, the tone. But it got me thinking about lower level. What's up there, TA, AVA? I don't even know how to say that, fishing. But anyway, how you doing, buddy? But it got me thinking about the lower level. I have never been involved in a tournament where a cheating accusation was made. I've had a few guys, I've seen a few guys bitch about a scale being off and they'll reweigh fish or something like that. But I've never, ever been a part of somebody saying that man right there cheated or this is going on. So I guess I want to start off by saying, have you guys ever been involved in a situation where somebody was called out for cheating, or a situation where you found out somebody in your club or whatever, or a tournament you fished in had cheated, and how was it handled? Not kissing ass, but you do a hell of a job reading these comments. I try, buddy. The Aviator. Okay, sorry, the Aviator. What's up, the Aviator? Listen, in my defense, the last time I tried to really spell out something like that, it's always like, I'll never forget the very first one. I thought it was somebody typing in Cajun. And I was trying to pronounce it, and I was doing a bad job, but when you sit back, it said, would you blow me? And I have to be careful ever since then, because guys try to get me, and it's funny, and they get me every once in a while. But have you guys ever been involved in cheating? Steve Billington said, I've never been involved in one where it was legit in our Missouri clubs. And then Messick says, you ain't winning enough then, Danny. Hell, you're right, Messick. I don't. Listen, I am a professional donator. I fish tournaments for two reasons. Number one, because I enjoy fishing with the guys and seeing everybody at the ramp. But number two, for this hat to be seen everywhere. It is a business decision. Have I lucked up and got some money every once in a while? Yes. But that is not my focus. I don't try to make my mortgage payment based upon winnings at a tournament. I'm there to mingle, right? But I've never been a part of any situation where anybody accused somebody of cheating. Now, I want to know if you guys have, or let's say you're a kayaker and there's a big cheating scandal going on. I want to know about it. Tell me a little bit about it. I want to hear some of these things. But what I'm interested in is, how was it handled, especially on the local level? Is it, hey, you see him at the weigh-in, you bring it up in front of everybody? That's what, the individual did. Do you pull them to the side? Do you pull the tournament director to your side? Does it break out in a fight? Cops are called. What did you experience out there? Because again, I've never been a part of it. Doug Rice said, I have one on Allatoona years ago, way too long of a story to go into, but it was nasty. He went to jail. It really changed my mind about tournaments. Hate cheaters. Excuse me. What's up, Gone Fishing with Ed? Now, I do know that there are laws against it for sure. The aviator says you got to have the evidence. Now, see, yesterday, the whole situation, before you call them out, yesterday, the whole situation was basically, as Patricia said, a lot of hearsay. And if I go back, when I went back and I was reading the comments, there was an insinuation of maybe help. Maybe that Tucker didn't find the fish on his own. And when I read the comment live, I was thinking about, well, it's his home lake, and going up into that tournament, guys had like, hey, dude, they're really biting on the north end here, that, within the information rules. And again, I told you yesterday, I don't know what the information rule was with the Ultimate Angler. I have no idea. But that's the way I took it. Now, when I went back and was reading in the comments section, I totally understand the way other guys were taking it. But again, I'm trying to read 2,200, messages at one time for one guy. I do a good job at just basically getting a few. So, that was kind of hearsay. Well, when you're in a club or something and you have that kind of hearsay stuff going on, how do you guys handle it? Or how have you seen it handled? Is there a certain protocol that your club has, or you basically just go straight up and say, boom, you did it? You know what I'm saying? Steve Billington, a kayak angler cheated using Photoshop recently, but I'm not sure how the tournament directors didn't catch those horribly edited photos. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Basically took a fish. What's up, Carrie Bell? Basically took a fish and had cut it and did something with his hand. Was that what was going on? If the tournament directors didn't catch it, how was he caught? I guess that's the next question. There was a guy bringing a fish in a cooler to kayak tournaments not that long ago. He was blacklisted, doesn't have social media anymore or anything. Yeah, it is crazy, Carrie. Yeah, I mean, listen, we know the repercussions. I want to know how he got caught and what was the process in your particular club. I would imagine in the club I'm in, EBO, if I thought somebody was cheating, probably the best thing would be to go to the tournament director and say, hey, listen, I think so-and-so did this. But I'll tell you what, I damn sure wouldn't go unless I was 100% sure that was the case. Hearsay is not enough for me. Hearsay is the kind of stuff that kind of gets passed on between guys in the club a little bit. Hey, such and such, that was kind of a little shady. But I don't have enough evidence, right? I don't have enough to take to a grand jury and get an indictment. But if I did, I think I would go to the tournament director. But I know in some places, man, they handle it themselves, just straight up, guy, mano a mano. And that's kind of, what have you guys experienced out there? Let's see. Let me scroll back up. While I was talking, you guys put a bunch in there real quick. Yeah, Funky Fisherman. Yeah, G-Man, home lake too. Yeah. When lakes get pulled down for winter pool, baskets get exposed around me every few years. Baskets. See, that's if you're doing the basket thing, that seems like, you're bound and determined to get caught somehow. Like sooner or later, somebody's going to find that basket. I think Tucker didn't need no help. That's his second $500,000 win. No, Tucker don't need no help. I reached out to him to see if I could get him on a podcast. We're going to have to give him a week or two because all the important podcasts got his ass for sure. But I had Emil give me his number. And people are also saying Tucker got DQ'd before for his friend hole sitting. But actually, his friend was berating another angler for fishing too close to Tucker. Not the same thing. I didn't know about that. Again, I'm not a diehard. Every second of my day, I'm thinking about professional bass tournament fishing, right? I just don't. It's fun to watch if you know somebody in it, but I mean, it's not that damn exciting to me. So I'm sure I miss a lot of these things. We hear in kayak tournaments that people launch from areas you're not supposed to as well. Well, okay, so let me ask you this, Aviator. How do you bring that up? If you hear, how do you police that? I'm curious. Serious question. How do you police something like that? He took a photo of his hand over an empty board and photoshopped it in different fish. Anglers caught it. So the anglers caught it themselves. Okay. Leave it up to the kayakers, right? Hey, listen, catch, photo, and release ain't the end all, is it? But he got caught. I know they do things like, the codes and stuff. I mean, I have a general knowledge of what all goes on there. So the anglers caught it, and then what did they do? They went to the tournament director and said, here's the proof. Because to me, you got to have the proof, right? Now, when it comes to Tucker, Dave says he could not get info for the Ultimate Angler as any information he would receive would also apply to the Elite event for next year. He's a stick and would not need the help. See, that is another layer to the onion that a lot of people didn't even talk about yesterday with Tucker. Because they're on Guntersville next year, right? The schedule's out. It's not the NPFL info rule. It's Bass's rule, which makes perfect sense. And again, I am definitely not accusing Tucker Smith of cheating. I think he just went over there and kicked everybody's ass just straight up. I mean, he's a damn machine. All these kids are. But it's just certain people have that kind of feeling, and then the hearsay gets out, and then you get a rumor, and then it's here, and it's here. And then the next thing you know, you'll get that one person saying, hey, where there's smoke, there's fire, and that's not always the case. Alex said, this is back to the kayak guy. He got caught because the fish were dark like a Florida bass, and they ain't like that around here. Okay, so he was bringing in a bass from another state that did not match the strain of bass that we have here. Seems like a dumb thing to do if you ask me. Like, you're bound to get caught with that, right? All right, let's see. That's what happened with the walleye cheaters. A lot of rumors, no proof for a long time. Now, see that? Yeah. And then you put Meat Eater did a great interview with the tournament director from the weights and the fish. It's a good listen. I'll have to go back and check that out. Yeah, I remember people saying that had been happening previously. I wonder what it was then at that particular tournament that made them decide to actually cut the fish open. Had they just heard enough? Because, again, I watched that from 80,000 feet. And then it was like, damn, they didn't even make it close, right? Might as well stuck a softball up that fish's ass. The weights were so big. I'm like, dude, you could have, I guess go big or go home, right? Well, they went home for sure. The guy on Allatoona was putting fish in baskets and getting them after dark. This went on for a very long time before he was caught. Doug, do you remember how he was caught? And then do you remember how it got reported to the tournament directors? Was there video evidence or, I know there was a situation here a while back, I won't say a few months ago, probably a little bit longer than that, where somebody actually videoed the angler. They found the fish trap, the basket, and they videoed the angler actually going to it. That seems pretty straight up, but I'm just curious. Let's see here. Someone got a photo of the truck, but I ain't going no further. So you must have been talking about something else up there above it. Gary, it is sorry as hell. It is sorry as hell. But listen, I remember on an episode of our show. We're talking a couple years ago, back when we were down in the basement, and we were talking about high school anglers. And I did have a guest saying it should be mandatory because for them to all have GoPros like some of the pros do, because a individual had fished a tournament that had never placed high, and I don't even remember the person's name, had never played, it's a high schooler, had never placed high, did not have a partner that day, and they ended up winning a tournament on Lanier with 20-something pounds. And this guy, he thought it was kind of shady. And I do remember the firestorm that episode kicked up. There were people pissed off as hell. Not only at the guy for saying it, but for us to allow him to say it. And I'm like, he was just bringing up a point. Now, he didn't call out anybody by name, but we all know how insinuations work, right? I mean, I've been guilty of that myself. But I remember the next day, just people calling me up, just ripping my ass because he had basically accused a kid of cheating. And basically accused the kid and the father, who was the boat captain, of cheating. But basically also saying there's no way to prove it. So now let's put the cameras in the boat. And then it became a conversation of whether the kids could afford a GoPro, a lot of D, a lot of da, et cetera, so on and so on. But I remember just the firestorm of the accusation. However, I knew of some people in these high school tournaments who were fine people, but they bent a few of the little rules, like letting the kids drive the boat. And when they were fussing at me about this, I'm like, well, you kind of did that, so you broke rules too. So even the best people can break a rule here and there. And it went on down forever. But I remember just how many people got mad about that. And I'm like, hell, I didn't say it. The guy said it. Let's see. Now, John G's talking to Alex about they're supposed to check in. What's up, traveling fisherman? They're supposed to check in on the app when they start a tournament. Does that check-in show our location? And Steve Billington says yes. It does, but a lot of guys don't use the check-in, check-out. Should that be more, hey, unless you use it, you can't weigh your fish in. Curious. Doug Rice said, I took it personally when the guy was caught because he was beating us, myself included, on a regular basis. Not going to lie, I wanted 5 minutes alone with him. And I think, listen, Doug, if we're being fair, I think the majority of people feel exactly the same way you do. That they would like, let me self-police this for a little bit. And especially in tournaments where dollar bills involved, right? Okay? Not everybody is like me and goes to the tournament and throws out $80 saying, hey, business investment. What's up, Peg Leg? Business investment. Just want the guys to want to shake hands with the guys, be seen. And of course, I've been lucky. I haven't been involved in anything like that. But if you're getting beat by the same guy over and over and over again, and you're throwing $50, $80, $100, $120 for a tournament over and over and over again, yeah, I get it, man. 100%. Somebody's ass needs, somebody wants somebody's ass. Let's just put it that way. Tim Hancock. How you doing today, buddy? What's up, old timer? I love you, man. I got into a bass club in 1980. It only took a couple tournaments to realize that tournaments weren't for me. Too much bickering, drama, greed, and ego with some cheating thrown in to boot. Yeah. And, it's a shame. Now, I would say this. Let's be honest. If we just talk about cheating, 99.9% of all bass anglers fishing tournaments are not cheaters. There are some very ethical people. And then there's some people that might play in the gray area, but like, hell, I don't want to get caught, especially with social media. It might cross their minds, but like, nah, I'm not going to do it. But in all honesty, the majority of anglers wouldn't cheat in a tournament. Okay? But it is that 0.1% or 0.01% that really gives everybody a bad name. Now, as far as the other stuff, the bickering, the drama, the greed, and the ego, the hell, that's everywhere, right? I think honestly, and I'm going to have Justin Reynolds on here tonight on the live well. He fishes EBO with us. And while everybody's got their own little bit of pride and all that, it really is I can't remember the last time. It's been 4 or 5 years since there was really any drama in any tournament. And I believe they straight up, removed that member. And it wasn't about cheating or anything, but they removed that person from the club. Got rid of the bad apple quick. And then we didn't have to deal with it anymore. But since then, I mean, it's been smooth sailing. And all the guys know each other. And we're all kind of friends and all that. And it's kind of like, I don't mind getting my ass kicked by guys like Justin, Tim Wyatt. They do it all the time. Friends with them. And they're good. It's almost worth paying the entry fee just to see what the hell these guys are bringing to the ramp. A 25-inch smallmouth, biggest of the tourney. Who caught that? And Patricia Leanne. Now, Steve Billington says, weights and fish. The tournament director made them weigh less, and the total was not matching others for fish of the same size. He knew something was wrong and inspected them. So it just basically became obvious to that guy. And the tournament director basically did what a tournament director should do, right? I think the walleye guys outweighted everybody by a lot. That's what made them cut them open. It just shows you how far behind I am in the comments because we get to talking. But yeah, now listen, I know it, the guy doing the basket and they weigh in, 12-inch fish. They got to make judgments on that. There's a lot of judgment. Live fish, is the fish alive? If the angler calls it alive, it looks at it, and those things. But like if you got a 12-inch bass and everybody has been weighing in a 12-inch bass, and let's just say for the argument, they all weigh exactly 1 pound. And then you bring in a 12-inch bass that weighs 2.8 pounds. Yeah. I mean, you just were not thinking very much with that, right? What's up, Jonah and Coleman? Everybody can have their day, though. Just because you get your ass whipped doesn't mean the winner cheated. And that was the argument with that gentleman on that show. And I'm like, hell, I don't even fish the stuff. I'm listening. And we were trying to figure out how to make high school. I think the topic of the podcast that night was how to improve high school fishing. And then it came out of left field. And it was just there. And I mean, once that dart's been thrown, you're like, okay, we got to ride this, And it just snowballed, man. I mean, when I say snowballed, it's like, and even some of the other guests were kind of like, they tried to, kind of rein it in and a little bit. But once something's said, man, it's said. Doug, back to his guy on L2. Someone saw him and told the tournament director, and they set him up. Busted, got law enforcement involved. Okay, I get that for sure. To the statement about bass not being dark in this area, I have a pic of me holding 2 bass I caught on Allatoona one day. One's very dark, almost black, and the other one looks normal from 1994. Tim, that's because you took them on them daggum Polaroids. Huh? Nobody trusts a Polaroid. I'm just playing with you. But I do remember, Tim, though, in this situation, I think I do remember this now, that the fish in question, it looked like different. Not saying it's not possible, but I do remember it looking really different. What's up, Rob? The money is a donation. If you can't get over losing it, stop playing. When is fishing ever easy? Odds are against you, so donate or don't. Yeah, I got you. For sure. Now, Carver said, I was new to tournament fishing and asked the guy who got big fish what he caught it on. Was I wrong? If you just went up and asked him what he caught it on, no, you're not wrong. But I'll tell you, a lot of guys are not going to tell you, number one. And number two, they'll probably tell you the wrong thing. You might get a guy every once in a while to tell you exactly. Is it wrong to ask? No. Some guys, if they're snooty, they might look at you like, what the hell? What are you doing? No. I mean, if I listen, I won big fish in the tournament over at Rocky one time. It was like 7 3/4. Guy asked me what I caught it on. Hell yeah, Texas rig, black mag trick worm with blue flake. I got no problem. But the difference is I make my money telling people what to fish with or trying to get guys to tell them what to fish with and selling them something. So it's all about perspective too, right? Like I have no problem telling anybody what I caught a fish on. Just because I got lucky and did it one time, doesn't mean nothing for sure. Let's see. If I tried to cheat, my boat motor would fall off the boat on the way to the weigh-in. That's just how it goes for me, for sure. Suede. I fished him. I fished him like you just, okay, let me start this again. Talking about tournaments. He fishes them just like me, just to shake hands, wet some line, and have a good time. But if I win, even better. Critterbug says, I love how we're all out here telling people what to use until it works. You're right. Listen, Critterbug, I get it. I get it. But I mean, like, listen, when I have a get, like in the shop, when somebody comes in, like, I take what is said on the podcast, what is said by guys that I talk to, and I try to be a sponge and I try to help guys out. I might, like, if somebody tells me, I'll give an example. I ask every guest on the podcast what's off limits, because some of them are tournament guys, some of them, you know, I get it. And some of them just ain't going to tell you what damn color no matter what, but most of them will. But I ask them before every show what's off limits, and most of them say nothing. Let's go with it. But I did have a guide come in one time, and he said, hey, if we cannot talk about flutter spoons, let's don't talk about flutter spoons. And I said, all right. And so we steered the conversation away from flutter spoons. The reason was he is a guy, this is his business, and he was really getting a bunch of trips because he had his clients on the flutter spoon bite when other guys were struggling. The difference was the other guys were still throwing the 6 and 5 inch flutter spoons, and this individual, he had dropped down to the 3s and 4s and was just waxing their ass on it. Now, he had a dollar bill involved in it, so he didn't really want, this was his livelihood. He really didn't want to tell everybody on the show that drop your flutter spoons down. Now, he talked about the flutter spoon, but not the size. You see what I'm saying? And I have to respect that sometimes. Another time I asked an individual to do an episode of our TV show on a lake where he was really good at catching a certain fish, and we want to do an episode around it. And he said, no, he goes, I would love to be on the TV show. He goes, but right now I'm the only person on this bite. Let's give it 2 or 3 years, and then we can do it when everybody else figures out what I'm doing. You kind of have to, when it goes to talking about people, what to catch them with and all that, there's just so many different situations, right? Caleb Acosta Fishing. I donate every week. Me too, man. Me too. Butler, will the new BFL rules put a bad name on people that actually don't do anything wrong just because of what the co-anglers say? It opens the door to that, right, Justin? It does open the door to that. Only time will tell. Could. I mean, there's a possibility in everything. Steve Billington, free ice cream day at work today, and I'm about to go find me some. Who the hell has free ice cream at work? Carver, after kayak tournaments at the awards, the guys who place in the big bass winner usually give a short speech about what they caught them on. Usually they say the opposite of the truth. I could see that. Tim Hancock said, I'm finally able to get out and drive. Just got back from the lake making a video of some baits I'm tinkering with. Still can't handle my boat, though. But you're getting there, babe. You're getting there. This is how far. I said Polaroid, about 10 minutes ago, and you said 35 millimeters. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fly. It wasn't that many. Okay, there wasn't that many. So, yeah, we'll keep with it. Couldn't cheat would blow out my O-ring from nerves, Clayton. You guys love that O-ring comment, right? You guys are going to stick with that one. But, yeah, for sure. Listen. When we're talking about cheating today and bringing it up, I was talking about like really major infractions. We've all probably broken a small rule, I'm sure. Those are one thing. But like to go put fish in a basket, that's another thing. But I just was like, Clayton, let's just say this. Let's say, and all you guys, what would be the first move? What's your first move? If you had reason to suspect a guy was cheating. Or let's say you had enough evidence. What's your first move in the club, tournament scene, whatever that you fish? Does anyone remember the night tournaments on Allatoona when the guy stole the classic money and left the country? Holy Toledo. No. I'd like to know more about that. How long ago was that, Doug Rice? Stole the classic money and left the country. I mean, you got to be planning on leaving the country anyway, right? You probably were in trouble in some other areas to steal the classic fishing tournament, to steal that money and then flee the country. I mean, there's got to be more to that story other than I know it sucked that he stole all the money from the classic. But you just don't up and fly to another country Unless we're talking $50,000, $60,000. I don't know how much you had in the classic, but that's funny. Now, it probably wasn't funny for you at the time, but that's pretty funny. I'd like some more information on that one. Derek, I had some guys watching me that was in my tournament that week. Okay, you guys are talking about that again. Like I said, I jump in the middle of conversations sometimes. Now, John G said, call the tournament director. That's your first move. That's your first move. If you have that would be what John would do. Now, John, if you have hard evidence or if you have suspicion? Let's just say you have suspicion. Now, we ain't talking about just the guy keeps beating you. Like, you actually have suspicion. You have heard things. Is that what you still do? You call the tournament director? And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm asking a question. Emil Seminar, anytime you can get Emil Wagner teaching you anything, it's always helpful. Doug Rice said that was 30 years ago. 30 years ago. Oh, and he was from another country. So, hell, he got the money and went home. Like, I guess so, man. Maybe he was just wanting to go home and he needed the ticket, the airfare and all that or whatever. And he figured out, hey, this is a little pocket change. And I'm sure it was more than pocket change, but that might have been what was able to help him get back to that. Did anybody ever hear from him again? Just out of curiosity, in 30 years, has anybody heard from him at all? Justin Butler said, I caught a basket on Chick years ago and let 3 4 to 5 pounders out. Those fish were in rough shape. Horrible. Now, again, see that, yeah, because you probably had no idea whose basket it was, right? I do know that some guys would say, hey, it's kind of, how do you catch the guy? You can't really throw it out on social media. You found a fish basket because you let the guy that put it there know that his fish basket's been found. But you did the right thing by letting the fish go, for sure. But I just wonder if that guy ever got caught. Now, John says, no, only hard evidence do you go to the tournament director. I don't know what to do if I suspect someone. And that's kind of what we're trying to get to. Like, what do you do? Do you just go to the individual themselves and say, hey, listen, I want to talk to you. A lot of people are talking. Seems like you may be in that area over there. And either A, you need to stop it, or B, you need to address it because people are saying these things, right? Tyler says, I'll tell anyone what I'm catching fish on. That's just because I'm not winning with it. See, I have no doubt about it. There is no doubt about that. Would be my situation. White Owl says 911. Ow, that broke my pen right there. Doug Rice says that gentleman's still gone and he ain't sending nobody any postcards. I get it. Now, Funky Fisherman says you talk to him. Now, here's the thing. A lot of guys, I think, would be afraid to go talk to him. How many guys would be like, I just don't want to get involved? And they turn the other cheek and just don't look, right? That's probably just as bad. It's not just as bad as the cheating going on, but that probably isn't helpful in any way whatsoever. The fact that he didn't send any postcards is rude. Now, Doc Holliday, now this is interesting. I found a trap full of quail while shooting doves. So you don't just go on and fishing, does it? Did you let him go, Doc, just out of curiosity? Just out of curiosity. Now, I get why White Owl said 911. I think somebody's going to need to, some assistance. Have you guys ever seen, how about this? And it does, we'll keep talking about cheating. Let me read a couple more comments. I'll tell you where I was going with that. If I think someone is cheating, I'll start watching and documenting quietly. Okay, I get that perfectly because you want to build up evidence. You'd be surprised what a little conversation and a minor confrontation will stop. And see, I agree with you, Funky Fisherman. I agree with you 100%. Problem is, a lot of guys, I hate to say this, in our world today, got a lot of betas out there that they don't want that. They don't want that drama. They don't want that. They don't want to be the one, or they're scared to go out and say it because they're scared of the repercussions. And it's just easier for a lot of guys just to turn the cheek. I would appreciate if somebody didn't like something I did or said, I would appreciate them coming and telling me than to just kind of hate me or something and or not like me or whatever. Let me at least apologize or try to fix the situation. Now, again, that's not the cheating aspect of it, but in anything. Uh, the fiance has just endorsed me going to the seminar. Y'all think she will endorse me to spend some more money? She ain't endorsed me yet. Tell her I'm still waiting on her endorsement. Jeremy Conkright. Here, and we're talking Kentucky, guys. This is in Kentucky. Fish and Game has said if you find a fish basket, call them, leave the fish in the basket. Fish and Game will come, fin clip them, and when they weigh them, call and they will come arrest them. So I guess when they put the clips or whatever, or however they mark the fish, it's got to be in a way where the angler can't take it off, right? I would suspect something like that. Though, because you could remove a fin clip. I wonder if they mark like with a hole punch into a fin or something like that. You see what I'm saying? Doc said they didn't go home with us on them quail. Good for you, buddy. Coleman, give it a whirl. Worst thing that can happen is sleeping on the couch. Tim Hancock, I found that you can tell people about something that's working, show a ton of pics and some videos, and they still won't use it. Laugh my ass off. Oh, yeah, true. Danny, the guy, was heavily involved with a well-known bait and tackle. I will give you the 411 later to keep from causing grief. Gotcha. One of those. I'll tell you after the show. Now, Jeremy said they cut off a little piece or a hole punch. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, they marked that fish so that it wouldn't be obvious to the guy. And then, boom. So I guess, too, then, Fish and Game in Kentucky would have probably looked at who all has permits for a tournament, contacted all the tournament directors, and said, hey, be on the lookout for this. And then the angler has no idea it's coming. Unless the angler was the tournament director. I'm just saying it's a possibility. But I understand why they do that. Hog Wild Fish, and I'm here. Where's the party at? Hey, man, we've been partying for a while now. Derek Spicer. I've had a high school captain ask me stuff at the ramp. I didn't tell him anything, never thought about it again until now. I also had no info to give that week. I do know, again, and this is in the past, not the present, but I do know of high schoolers that booked trips with guides that it was not allowed. I heard about this after the fact. According to their rules, was not allowed. The guides told me. By that point, you can't do nothing. I mean, you're talking a year or so down the road. But people bend the rules. Now, again, we're talking about cheating. We're talking about the egregious stuff. You guys talking about fish baskets, weights in fish. I imagine that there's a lot of people playing those gray areas, and they don't consider it kind of cheating. It's kind of like speeding. The speed limit's 55. Yeah, some people treat it almost as if it's a suggestion, especially my kids, and you got to see my insurance. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people do that. And it's, again, it's one of those smaller rule infraction kind of things. Now, they don't get unless they're like an elite or something, and it basically takes away, a mega bag or something in a tournament. You don't hear about those on the local level near as much, but I'm sure they happen a lot. Let's see. I grew up in the Mike Long days in San Diego. It doesn't get any worse than that. No, for sure. Now, and again, that was one of those situations. Yeah. And it still pops up on my Facebook every once in a while. Somebody's got a fishing page or something, and it'll pull up a picture of Mike Long, and it talks about that situation. Like, that's going to last forever. I don't know that it gets any worse than that. You're right. But Hog Wild, we're talking about kind of cheating, but how you handle it. If you find somebody that, what is the protocol? How much does it actually take for you to actually go and tell somebody about it? How much information do you have to have before you're willing to go either address it yourself or to the tournament director? And it's just based upon the conversations in the comments yesterday. We're not accusing anybody of cheating on here. This is a general topic discussion. Okay, 100%. Let's see. What sucks, if you catch a guy cheating, you don't know how many other tournaments he's cheated in. That is a big thing that was brought up earlier today with, in the comments with the walleye guys. They've been doing it for a while, right? And in fact, how do you go back and, and prove it? It's kind of hard, right? Speeders are only impacting their own money. Yeah, you're right, Stephen. Now listen again, and that might have been a terrible example. It may have been an awful example. I was just trying to say how sometimes a rule can only be a suggestion. You see what I'm saying? Tyler got him a new Express H20. Hey, you gonna take me out on it? Derek Spicer, is there an info rule in high school? The kids weren't even with them. I don't know exactly what the info rules are in high school, and I don't know if boat captains are able to get information or what. I have zero idea. There was no high school fishing when my son came up through there. It was basketball, baseball, football, and then a little tennis. Why he decided to play tennis, I think it was for the girls, but his senior year, instead of playing baseball, he went with tennis. Well, it is what it is, right? But I don't know if any of you guys know if there's a high school info rule. Throw it out there. Because I'm curious now myself. Now, Steve Billington says, enough info that I can reasonably lay my head down at night not wondering if I ruined their reputation for nothing. Now, that is another thing. We haven't even, let me fix myself on this, adjust myself. We haven't even talked about that. Because in today's social media, in today's public perception, you're guilty until proven innocent. I don't care what anybody says. We know what the law is, but you're guilty until proven innocent. Just take the case, and I don't remember the young man's name, of the football player that basically took his life because everybody said he had been involved in this accident and caused it or something. And I don't know all the facts, but I know there's a camera shot now that he was 75 yards away from the accident or something like that. He didn't cause it. But because of all the backlash and everything and all the pundits on TV and everybody just saying how awful the whole situation was, it ended up taking that young man's life, or he took his life. If I went out there right now and put on the Fish North Georgia group page, and we're not the biggest out there, but we got a pretty hefty following. If I put out there and said Steve Billington is a cheater and here's why, and I listed 40 things, just made it up. Honestly, Steve, it would definitely hurt your reputation for sure, because some people blindly follow us. Fair or unfair, you know what I'm saying? Like if I said it, there are people out there, even ones that don't know me personally, will say, well, Danny said it's got to be true, right? And you're guilty to start off with. So I 100% agree with you 100% that people's reputations get ruined no matter what. And look at it with like in the elites last year, not even this current season, but last year with all the young guys. How people bashed all the young guys, with the info and stuff like that without even knowing the damn truth, number one, but they just went on it and they just bashed and bashed and bashed. And even now, occasionally somebody will come in and they'll say like, wasn't he cheating? No, he didn't. People don't research their own stuff today for sure. But I get it what you're saying, Stephen. Yeah, people's reputations get ruined in a heartbeat. That is one of the downfalls of social media. A positive is news quick. I mean, hell, I'm in X. I know what happened over in Israel or whatever on X before the news stations over here even announce it. I don't know how the hell it works, but it works. And not all of it's true, but a lot of it is. But it's that quick. Boom, 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 boom. Let me read a couple of them. I'll get the old cranking and yanking here in a second. I need someone to have actually seen it with their own eyes and hopefully recorded it in some way. If you haven't seen it happening, then I don't honestly care what you think happened. Agreed. That's what I'm saying. Far Dog's telling every one of you guys, hit that like button. And if you ain't subscribed, subscribe. Get me over that 9,000. Cranking and yanking said, now listen, I love you, dude. I love you, man. If you want to handle cheating and bass fishing, you got to get rid of the live scopes. That is the most cranking and yanking comment out there. But I'm glad you're here, dude. Now, Hog Wild Fishing said, I ran a tournament or two, and I've had folks accuse other folks of cheating just because they lost and didn't like the person who won. But they didn't have any proof, and that pissed me off so bad. To have to deal with all the drama, and the guy wasn't even within 10 miles of the guy he was accused of cheating. And see, Hog Wild, that is one of the reasons why I do not run tournaments. People ask us all the time, I don't want the headaches. Exactly, just like the Kyron Lacey. That's the young man, right? I believe that's the young man. I don't care what you're accusing anyone of. If you don't have evidence, I have no reason to care or believe you, for sure. Just like cranking and yanking saying live scope is cheating. Kind of my thing, Jeremy. It is your thing, cranking and yanking. Hog Wild also says, because I don't want to be the guy who believes an accusation without proof and that actually can hurt someone else's life. And see, that's the thing. You believe that, and you are the kind of guy that I can believe would be 100% that kind of guy. But for every one of you, there's one who hears something and runs with it. And how many of these social media channels hear something and they want to be the first one out with the video so that they can get all the clicks and the views so that they can make them an extra $20 a month? It's an accusation. There's no proof. Now, I will give it, and listen, I'll give Cerebral some love. Whether you like his channel or not, whether you like him or not, the next time something big happens, some kind of drama happens in bass fishing, just watch him for a second. I'll give him credit on this. A lot of guys got that video out quick. Boom, 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 boom. You will see his video come out 3, often 4, 5 days later because he's actually done some research on it. He doesn't need to be the first one with the clicks. And again, like whether you like him or not, it doesn't matter. Pay attention to that. He's always 3 to 4, 5 days behind. And it's not because he don't know about it day one. He knows about it. But because he will at least put some research in it so that he doesn't look like an asinine fool when he puts out his video. Appreciate you guys out there. Thanks to this podcast and tactical bassing and a few guide trips, I learned how to fish. Well, Derek, we appreciate you joining us. That's what it's all about. I think you guys are talking about sturgeon up there. Have you ever seen guys ever seen when they release 500 sturgeon in the rivers? I know we still got the sturgeon signs down here. Hog Wild, when you run the tournaments, all that falls on your shoulders and on your heart to have to carry. Yeah, for sure. You got to go to sleep at night. Always confront the tournament director directly, not the angler. Right. I always look like a fool, but I'm an informed fool. What is that old saying? Better to not open your mouth something and be a fool than to open your mouth and take all doubt away or something like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. I know that number one, people have asked us to run tournaments. And number one, I tell them I ain't got the time. Number two, I don't want to, honestly, if I'm going to do something on the weekend fishing, I want to go out there and enjoy it. We ran an electric only tournament for a year. It's the biggest pain in the ass out there. And we tried to overdo the production, but here's the honest truth. If you're running it, the second somebody weighs in their fish, 99% of them are gone. They don't want to help you get all your stuff back up, and they're gone. Give them the check, they're gone. They're there to fish the tournament. So that's kind of one thing too. But the biggest thing is like I do not want to deal with people complaining about whether we weighed something correctly, all that stuff, much less get into what we're talking about today. Okay, that's right, Tim. So that's what it is. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak up and remove all doubt. That was exactly the quote I was trying to think of. What about a tournament director who is constantly changing the rules or bending the rules for one person? I would call them out on that. And here's why. Not going to mention any names. But there is a guy who people have fished in his trails, have come in here, and they completely will just obliterate the guy for many reasons. And some of those reasons have to do with himself. I don't want to be that guy. I think the problem is they don't call them out on it, and they shouldn't. And this has been in the past. I don't even know if the guy's still doing tournaments anymore. Perfect example. Game warden comes. You're in a tournament. Game warden comes, checks your fishing license, and you are not in possession of a valid fishing license. The game warden is your buddy, writes you a warning and not a ticket. When you weigh in, you still weigh in your fish and it counts. Now, you guys tell me if that's right or wrong. You ain't got a valid fishing license. That's in your rules. It don't matter whether the game warden writes you a ticket or not. You should be DQ'd right there. It's in your own rules. But not this gentleman. Just things like that. Just things like that. So sometimes they change it for one person. Sometimes they change it for themselves, or they bend that rule. But you're right. You know what? I don't know what you do. I call them out. It is wrong, Clayton. Jeff Everett's facts. So, I mean, it's like, and again, I didn't see none of this. So, yeah, I could say it's hearsay, but I'm telling you, when there's like, it ain't that big of a club when half the club has told you about it. But I'm like, man, guys, y'all should have said something. Should be a DQ, Art Jet said. Yeah, for sure it should be. You should have Joshua Booth on. He's a kayak tournament director running some of the biggest events in the country. I should. I need to learn. I'd love to get, I'm getting into the season where I'm getting ready to have a lot of guests on that are pros, because I like to do them about during their off season. Like I talked to Welcher and Cook and others, and I'm like, hey, I know during the season, and there are other podcasts that just hound you guys. I don't want to be that guy. I want to talk to you during the off season. So we're getting ready to come into that. But I also want to get to these guys that we don't know nothing about, or, they don't get the exposure, and we can learn something like that. I think that would be really good. Interesting. Because we're not just professional bass fishing North Georgia. We're Fish North Georgia, or FNGO. We should cover it all. We'll try that. What about a game warden who fishes tournaments? Do y'all think it's an advantage, or what's y'all's thoughts? As long as he ain't breaking the rules, I have no problem with a game warden. Fishes tournaments on the same lake he patrols. Is he breaking a rule? Is it a no info rule kind of thing? Because, I know like we have to be off the water for a week, but that's kind of tough for a game warden. That's definitely. I don't know the answer to that question, Messick. I don't know how you'd handle that, to be honest with you. What do you think about the man? What do you think about him personally? Like, what kind of guy is he as a game warden? Is he straight up? And if he's straight up, then probably I wouldn't have a problem with it. That might be one of those that you have to bend the rules a little bit. Maybe your on-off period kind of stuff. Hold on a second. I'm getting TikTok guys back up here going. Resume now. They're good. Robert Brett says it is a conflict of interest. Yeah, it is. I don't know how you'd handle it. I have never been in that situation before. Now, Billington, you just sent me a messenger. Let's see here. And I'll keep it on Messenger. I won't read it unless you tell me to read it. You sent me Joshua's info. Okay. Sorry. I thought you might were sending me somebody. As long as he's not breaking the rules, it shouldn't matter. No breaking rules or anything. Just hear people fussing about how he has an advantage. It's complete opposite. The guy is just a damn hammer, but he's, there's so much whining. The same thing goes with a lot of people around here don't like the guides fishing in their tournaments. Scott Barnes has no problem with it. He's like, I want the best of the best come fish in our tournaments. And, so that's why when Emil's in town and all them, they all come fishing. But a lot of people don't like fishing against guides and clubs. Or there's a lot of clubs, if I'm being honest, won't allow a guide to fish their tournaments. That unfair advantage, they say. I don't know. Who will get the first podcast with Tucker? Get in line on it. Tucker's already been on them. Tucker's already been on a couple. I'm just trying to get him after everything kind of chills. And I'll be honest with you, I think they appreciate that a little bit. And it's probably not the best business model for me. It'd probably be better if I had them on during the season when it was hot. But when I ask them, I don't want them to go like, ah. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be a good time. I'm going to fish a barn soon. Emil said on a pod a while back that those tournaments really helped him get better. Now, and then I'm going to read Clayton's. If he is a pro or an elite member, I think they should not fish in the local tournaments. So, two ways to see that. And both of you are correct. Emil has talked about for sure that getting his butt handed to him in the Scott Barnes type of tournaments really helped him for sure. Now, as far as him coming back to fish, and being an elite or something like that, I know last year when the Toys for Tots, when we were scheduling the Toys for Tots, Emil had not yet fished the elites. He knew he was going, but Scott had a tournament that same day, and kudos to Scott Barnes. He rescheduled his tournament. Actually, he told everybody that was going to fish his tournament to come fish with us. Kudos to Scott Barnes for doing that. Good dude. And this year he didn't. He was at least polite enough not to schedule a tournament on the same day. Not everybody was like that, but Scott Barnes didn't. But Emil, when I called him up, said, dude, you got to fish this tournament. He goes, well, Barnes has got a tournament that same day. That's like my Super Bowl on Lanier. That's the way he sees it, because Emil still wants to compete with all of them. But I get a lot of people, Clayton, feel exactly the same way you do. They don't think that a pro should be fishing with it. I do know that Dave Alders talks about on Gunnersville, there's a Sunday afternoon tournament where Trail at some point during the year where Jordan Lee and G-Man and all them, and you go fish against them. I know Tony has talked about Kyle Welcher taking a bunch of his money either on Wadawi or whatever, one of them lakes down there, but you get to fish with them. So sometimes it's like, yeah. I mean, sometimes they don't win every one of them. Sometimes it's kind of like, yeah, man, I'm fishing against the elite guy. And then sometimes like, oh, here comes the elite guy taking my money again. I get it both ways. It's just kind of, it's one of them things. We hear too around here that fishing against a pro is like a sin. I look at it completely different. I enjoy being able to compete with some of the pros. Pretty cool to say I got a check in the same tournament Brandon Cobb was in. Yeah. And also too, it's like this again. And I think Carver is going to be in line with my opinion. I'm a professional donator. You know what I'm saying? When I go up to a Scott Barnes tournament and I fish with some of them, or even sometimes if I go to watch a weigh-in, I go in to shake hands. What's up, Emil? What's up, Paul? What's up, Alex Prince? Alex Prince, you want to come on my podcast? Man, no way. You make people answer too many questions. And it's funny. We have those conversations and all that. And you see the guys that are hammers. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I got to fish a tournament with Rob. He fishes the MPFL. That was pretty cool. I see it both ways. I get it. But yeah, Carver says I'm a donator and don't pay much attention to what's going on. I feel like if I get out fished, it's my own fault. I have fished many tournaments, Far Dog. I fished many tournaments, and I used to get shit talked because I was a guide, although I had not guided on said lake before or practiced on that lake. Yeah, no, I get it. See, that's the thing. A lot of guys will not let the guides fish because you're on it. Whereas, look at it this way, though. And here's where I give Kevin Underwood a lot of props. Not only is my friend and all that, but great guy and all that, but I give him a lot of props. A lot of guides on Lake Lanier will not fish tournaments because no matter that they're on the lake, they know they're going to get it handed to them because they can put you on fish, but they can't put you on winning fish. You see what I'm saying? And they're afraid that their reputation would be destroyed if they're like all day long they're posting all these great fish catches on Facebook and they get out there on a Saturday and they get their ass handed to them. So props to Kevin Underwood on Lake Lanier for doing that with lipsticker fishing. He gets out there right in the middle of it. If he has a great day, he has a great day. And if he finishes 20th, and he just tells you, you know what? My fish weren't biting. A lot of guides won't do that around here, especially on Lake Lanier because of reputation. But if you ask me, I think it's more impressive for you to get out there as a guide and get your ass kicked, but you're out there, amongst the Emils and, you know, the Turner boys and all those guys that are great. Barnes lets everybody come. Jordan, he has a turkey bowl. Every once in a while, Jordan Lee comes over and fishes it and stuff. Don't mean he wins it, trust me. But Lake Lanier's the proving ground on that for guys that, to me, for guides. I don't know how it goes on other lakes. I just know on Lake Lanier, you'll see one guide out there consistently. Now, yes, Emil guides in the off season and there's others, but Brooks Anderson gets out there and fishes with them. And Lipsticker, Kevin Underwood, they get out there and fish them. It's okay with them. They got confidence in their business. They got confidence in doing that. I should have said Brooks too. But Brooks is off fishing these other big tournaments, trying to go that route too. But when Brooks is in town and he doesn't have one of those tournaments, he'll fish them. So kudos to them, if you ask me. That's just my opinion on the guides fishing tournaments. Because a lot of them won't do it because they're afraid. It will hurt my business. I mean, think about Underwood. He'll go Monday through Friday, and he's got his clients, and he's holding the fish up, the actual fish. Hey, we had 20 plus today. Hey, we had 20 plus today. Hey, 18-9, whatever. And then he goes and fishes a tournament on Saturday. He might not have a good day. Let's say he only has 13 pounds. It just wasn't his day. A lot of guys would be like, oh, God, people are going to look and think I'm lying Monday through Friday because on Saturday I only caught 13. And that's a crock of crap. We all know how fishing is. But Underwood and Brooks, they'll throw it right out there. So I think it takes balls sometimes as a guide. I need that attitude professional donator. I might fish tournaments knowing I was donating my money. I'm serious. That's the way I am. I am a professional donator. I don't care if I'm donating. I want to compete. One day I'll get better and win and cut a check and get my money back. That's what Emil did. He'll tell you, he said on our podcast before, getting his ass handed to him week in and week out was the best thing for him. Tim said there are precious few anglers, guides that I am in awe of. Kevin is one. Bill Payne is another. Louis Bartonfield on Carter's is a third. For sure. I'm going to have Bill Payne on soon. Talked to him the other day. We're getting ready to get him back on. I think I'm going to get him. He did we did a video with him, the night fishing one. Probably one of the biggest videos that we've ever done, if not the biggest video ever done on our channel. I think it'd be good to get a wintertime bass fishing video with him. He's such a nice guy too. He is such a nice guy. It's fishing, not catching. Too many anglers think paying money means it should be catching, not fishing. For sure. I'm the same as you, Tyler. My competitive side is insane, but I also like figuring out the puzzle piece in fishing. But with that being said, I've also taken my fair share of whoopings. Fishing also definitely is the most humbling sport. Yeah, it is. We get to Jeff Brazil. We get a few guides fishing some stuff from time to time on Pickwick. Even though Slick himself came and fished a winter trail last year with Lake. That's his boy, right? Lake. I feel for his son. Because I know Slick put out a comment and a guy said something, and they've got a couple back and forth videos going out where the guy was basically, and I don't remember all the details, but basically calling out his son for not having a great tournament or something like that. I mean, like, if you're an adult guy, just because you don't like Slick, man, you don't go down the line to the next in kin. You know what I'm saying? And then when your dad is a over the top celeb, so to speak, and you just want to go fishing, man, I feel for him. Seems like a great kid. Never met him. I haven't talked to his son. I talked to Slick. And again, guys, there's Slick, the social media guy, and there's Slick. They are one and the same, but it is a little bit different. It is a little bit different on the back end. But listen, I'd love to fish with Slick. White Owl and I agreed that they should bring back the pros versus the Joes. That would be fun. That would be real fun. And, yeah, Brazil, I got you, man, for sure. Bill's a great guy, tons of knowledge, easy to spend the day with. Billington says, yep, I don't get along with Hoover, but his kid seems cool. Are you calling Slick Hoover? Is that your nickname for him? Lake is a dadgum hammer. That kid can fish. That's what I think. I mean, listen, like I've never talked to this boy, but I see him in the videos, and I keep up with him in some of the tournament events and all that. And I'll tell you this is truth. Like my family, if we go somewhere, and this is just very, I'm not as big as Slick Johnson. Slick Johnson's big. He's out there. We go in the restaurant or something, or go to the store, and somebody will say, Danny. And they'll come up and start talking, about the podcast or the TV show or something like that. And then my kids are like, my wife especially, they're like, Chad Hoover. I forget you don't know kayak guys. I don't know. I didn't know if that was a nickname for him. But I can't imagine what Lake has to go through because of the size of his dad's, reach and personality. He seems a very humble kid. Like he handles it well. And yeah, hammer seems like he absolutely can catch fish. It took me a long time to get where I could consistently win tournaments. But when you pull up at the ramp and you can hear guys saying, oh, no, so-and-so is here. Yeah, I imagine that would get on your nerves. Let me tell you what I used to do. And he's actually getting out of electric-only fishing. But back in the day, and even up till now, Chris Gayton's a hammer. If you know him, you know him. Whoever his partner was, and I've actually fished with him in the tournament time too, but Chris Gayton was a hammer. He was that guy when he showed up, especially if it was an open tournament. And guys would be like, ugh. But I looked at it like this. Like, dude, if I can just beat Chris, let's say Chris don't win it, but if I can finish higher than Chris, I won. That's the way I always did it. And he will tell you, if he was here right beside me, like I finished higher than him a couple times. Oh, boy, I rubbed it in his ass. We're buddies, so it was good-natured fun. But I'm like, dude, I got you. And there are guys in my club now. There are 4 teams. Of those 4 teams, they're going to win the majority of the tournaments. They are just hammers. Justin Reynolds will be here tonight. He's on one of those teams. I judge ours by what they do. Man, they didn't have a good day. We finished ahead of them. Hell yeah. But it's all about perspective, right? You need to get Emil or Paul out in an electric-only tournament. They'd probably win then too. But I will say this, like tonight, if you watch the live well, like there are some guys that fish electric only because of whatever reason, but there's some absolute sticks, and they can catch some big fish. Like John and Justin, both of them that are on the night, yeah, they're not BFL pros or, names that everybody's going to recognize. But I'm telling you what, I'd put them against anybody on catching trophy bass. Trophy bass. Consistently. Or fishing, Justin and Tim fishing in tournaments. Consistent. They're so consistently good that you could pick something up from them just because it's more electric only. Has absolutely nothing to do with it. You can learn a ton from these guys. But I enjoy fishing and getting my ass handed to me by them. It's just fun. Far Dog, I don't even tell them when I'm coming anymore. People won't fish, and it's not like I'm a crazy hammer or anything like that. Well, listen, I mean, again, I think those guys that fuss are the guys that need that money to make their mortgage payment, dude. Messick, you know what I'm saying? Because I would put it like this. Steve says, I'm hated at the events, but it's for my mouth, not my fish. Me too, dude. I don't know that I'm hated, but I tell you what, there's me and there's another fellow up here named Randy. If me and Randy are ever fishing a tournament in the same tournament and we're on the lake waiting to zoom off in the electric world, me and him are there. Because we're just chatty catty the whole time. Just bah, 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 bah. And he's got that high-pitched voice. He goes, Danny. I'm like, Randy. We have fun with it. I need to get out with John soon once I'm not preoccupied with my new toy. John Serra, guys, listen. He was fishing an 11-inch bait on hickory log the other day. Freaking 11 inches. You can learn something from anybody in fishing. But I agree. And I think Far Dog, I loved it because I'd be hollering out, yep, boys, I'm here. Get them donations ready. And you should. Have some fun with it. Shine bright like a diamond. Yeah. Steve Sturgis says, going to fish my first in-person kayak tournament on Gunnersville. I plan on fishing how I fish and just having fun and meet all these people I keep seeing in the comments. Probably going to get my butt beat. But you know what, Steve? number one, you could win. I mean, I've actually have a couple trophies that I actually won a tournament. It does happen. You could win, but number two, the most important part of what you said is right there. I'm going to fish how I fish and just have fun and to meet all these people I see in the comments. That's why I fish tournaments anywhere and all that. Y'all have no idea how cool it is to go somewhere, whether it's at like an expo or something, and somebody comes up and they say, "Hey, I'm John," and I'm like, "John, how you doing?" And they'll say, "I am blah 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 on YouTube," and I'm like, "Damn, yeah, how you doing, man?" Guys will walk in all the time in the shop. They go, I say, "Hey, bud, how can I help you?" And they'll go, "You Danny?" And I'm like, "Do I owe you money?" And they start laughing. They go, "No, man, I watch your podcast. I see you up here. I'm such and such, and it's a screen name." That's the best. But I did listen, have fun with that far dog. I get it. But Stephen, you'll remember that. But the having fun part, and I know we started off the entire show talking about cheating and everything. And we went a long time with that. And I'm going to show you this wacky thing real quick in a second before we get out of here. But a lot of people have taken the fun out of tournaments. What's up, LP5 Patriot on TikTok? How you doing, buddy? A lot of people have taken the fun out of tournaments. What's up, Creative Crouton? How are you, hon? They've taken the fun out of it. They've sucked the fun out of it for other people. And those are the kind of people that I wish you could just get out of the tournament scene. And everybody be like Steven. Like, hey. And if you and I are fishing and you beat me, I would have no problem with you ragging me a little bit. That good-natured ragging and all that. I think that would be fun. When I eventually come by the shop, Danny's going to lock the door. Nah, man, come on. I live in Marble Hill. You ain't going to bring in nothing that I ain't scared of or that I haven't seen. Y'all never experienced Lime Rita. I should have told you about Lime Rita. One day we're sitting here in this 1978 Buick or Ford LTD or some big-ass car comes parking around behind the thing right here in the back, and we're looking out the window, and there sat a woman in the driver's seat with a big old, I guess it's Budweiser, Lime Rita, one of them big old, the little knockoff beer margarita things. She's sitting there drinking it, and a girl of larger proportion, I don't know, 4'10", 420, gets out of the other side. She goes running through the woods back here behind this building behind us. And we're like, what the hell? And we're sitting there watching, and Lime Rita is having a conversation with herself. I don't know what she's talking about, but there's no phone. This car definitely didn't have the speakers. I mean, it's so old. It didn't have the in-car phone or nothing. No earbuds or nothing. She gets out. She kind of walks around a little bit. Right here at the shop. We're sitting here, just in our back parking lot right here. And she's just having the most enjoyable conversation with herself you've ever heard. And next thing you know, Patty Cakes or whatever her name is comes bumbling back from behind the building beside us. And they get in the car and they drive off, never to be heard from again. I don't know if we had a bathroom. If she needed to use the bathroom, she could have come knocked on the door. We'd let her use the bathroom. But I think that's what she did on the back side of the building over here behind us. This is Marble Hill. This is where our shop is located. But all we know about her is Lime Rita. One night the guys were doing a podcast right here. I was not here that night. They get done. Out here on the front step, there's another local needing a ride. Wanting to know if they had any food in here. Let's just say she was definitely under the influence of stuff that was not liquid. Okay? You get what I'm saying? And I can remember the guys telling me this. She needed a ride to Jasper. But the only one that lived in Jasper was old Jonathan Farmer. Any of y'all going that way? Farmer's like, no, we're all going this way. Totally opposite of his house. I've seen it's an interesting thing. But yeah, if any of you guys see a 78 Ford LTD packing about 650 pounds of front meat, driving through there with a Lime Rita in her hand, she's still around. So anyway, interesting things you see. So that's Steve Billington. I promise you. If I don't lock the doors for that, I don't lock the door for anybody. Derek Spicer, so many places don't let the public use their bathroom. Hey, you know what? True story. Last Friday, sitting here, I'm by myself in a very nice I would say 50-ish, 60-ish year old African-American woman, black woman, opened the door. Sir, do you have a bathroom I can use? I'm like, hell yeah, come on. Sitting right over there. And she goes, can my friend use it? And I'm like, yeah. I said, it's a guy's bathroom, but ain't nothing but guys around here. So it ain't like pristine with flowers and rosebuds and all that, but have at it. And next thing I know, there was about 6 or 7 of them in here. They were going up here to the apple orchards. We had the best damn conversations. We sitting there just a talking. And they were from Atlanta. And like, again, I can talk to anybody. But they sat in here for another 25 minutes after they were done using the bathroom. We just talked about life and everything. Gave them old t-shirt free. Just wear it out. Tag me on social media. And they're like, yeah, baby. It was a good time. So, yeah. So, Steve, like I said, if any of y'all ever come by and you need to use the bathroom, come by. I'll let you use the bathroom. But I have a good time with everybody. I don't know that I've ever met a stranger, which is funny because my wife says I'm very introverted. I'm like, no, I'm not. One other thing too, before we go, I want to show you this. I love it when the viewers send me something, and this is a wacky worm trick. And I don't know how many of you guys throw a wacky worm, but when I throw one deep, I'm the weightless guy. I let it float on down, do its thing, eat a sandwich, make a phone call till it gets down to the brush pile. But he sent me a video of a guy doing this, and a lot of you guys may do this already, but if you don't, I just thought I'd share it with you. This is a deep water, kind of a wacky setup. And I don't have the right stuff, so we are doing this via what I got in the shop. So imagine this piece, and I did this for visual. So imagine this piece of tape right here is a bobber stopper. You put that on first, okay? Then you run your wacky hook, and this ain't even a wacky hook, but you run it without tying it on your line, okay? So that your wacky worm free floats. Then on the very bottom down here, you're putting a drop shot weight. Now, the theory of this is you throw it out, the heavy drop shot weight gets it to the bottom. The wacky is pinned up against the bobber stopper as it falls, right? Almost like a Carolina rig, kind of, or one of them free rigs that everybody's talking about. All right. But once the weight hits the bottom, okay, then it, from the bobber stopper down, now that wacky is able to float on down your line slower. To give you a little bit of action, you had me till drop shot weight. Listen, I get it. You can put any weight you want on it. But think about that. If you want to fish deep water wacky, if you use a weighted wacky worm hook, which is why I never use one, I hate it, it just falls straight down. And you're not getting a lot of action on your wacky worm. It is bent up like this as it falls. I don't care what anybody says, it's bent up like that. Because it's sinking, right? But with this setup, I thought it was pretty cool. Bobber stopper up here. And as it falls, it's falling down like that. But the last, 2 feet? Now you're down on the brush pile, and now you're getting your wacky down to this. And let's say you pop it 3 or 4 times. Okay, you get it up there, it pulls your wacky back up. Excuse me. You pop it 3 or 4 times. It goes up with the weight, but then the weight comes down faster and the wacky just free floats down. So I thought it was a pretty cool thing. Now, again, that's because you guys wouldn't be able to see a bobber stop if I put that on there. But for those of you guys that want to throw a deep wacky, I thought it was a pretty intelligent design. Okay, bobber stop, drop shot weight, free flowing wacky worm. So, Justin Ortiz says, could confirm this works. It's not something I thought about, but if I really want to get it down there, because I hate weighted wacky worm hooks, can't stand them. That's why I'm always weightless. But this is something that I might be willing to try, especially in the wintertime too, going really deep. But you see how it just floats down. And of course, I can't replicate the action of the worm while I'm doing it. But still, I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. So you get the wacky hook sliding free between the weight and the bobber stopper. Yes, John G. So picture it this way. You make the cast. Now, when you make the cast, the wacky worm is probably pinned already against your weight. And it might work with dice too. You make the cast. Well, when it hits the water, the worm being lighter is going to come up all the way. Of course, I got it wrapped like hell now. But the worm's going to come up to the bobber stop because the weight's going to be sinking faster than the worm. Weight hits, now the worm can free flow down. Clayton Belmont says, I'm going to try it. I just see it tangling on the caster that's in. No, not really. It's no different than a free weight, right? Guys will take a Texas rig and they run it through, other than the weight is on the front of the worm. I don't think it'll tangle. Now, I haven't done this. It should cast like a drop shot, because the only thing is, your worm on a drop shot, your hook's actually tied up here and your weight's down here. Well, this one, yeah, the wacky can slide, but I don't think it will. But I don't know, Stephen. Try it. But you guys take that. I don't even know what the proper term is called. Free weight wacky? I don't know. But try that out. And I guess you can adjust it from the bobber stop down to the actual weight. You probably could get, depending on how you cast, you probably could go almost like a Carolina rig. You could go 2 or 3 feet. Whatever happened to tank testing lures? Get scared? People piss? No, we didn't get scared. We got to do it. I got to clean it up. And I wanted to get a pump. And I haven't got the pump yet because I wanted some current in the water so that if I drop the chatterbait down, instead of us dangling, you can see the chatterbait, how it would move in the water. We should name it something crude. I can't name it crude. Cast just like a drop shot. The only thing to watch for is the stop moving on you. Yeah, the bobber stop. You might have to adjust that every so often. But I thought, you know what? And I love it and this was from a guy that follows us. He sent me a YouTube video of a guy, and I forget the channel's name, but I'm going to start following this guy because he does a lot of these different techniques. And anytime we have something that's different, that's out of the norm, I'm going to share it with you. A wacky slider. Y'all just call it the Pruitt, okay? Or DP's wacky. What's up? All right, anyway, guys, listen. Try that, though. Anytime I find something like that, I'm going to share it with you. And let me know. Try it next time you go fishing. If you like throwing a wacky worm, report back. Let us know how it went. So, with that being said, tonight, TikTok, I'm going to let you guys go. Y'all come back tonight at 8. Tonight, you guys be back here at 8 o'clock again. John Sarah, Justin Reynolds are going to be in. It's going to be a good time. If you're in the area, come hang out with us. You don't have to bring anything. I probably got enough beer or two for you guys if you want one. Come hang out with us. Have a good time. Watch the show. Enjoy the conversation before the show, after the show, whatever. But if not, join us tonight at 8 and bring your questions for these guys. I love it when you guys make my job easier when you have comments and questions. I don't have to think of everything. So until I see you guys in 6.5 hours, y'all be good. Don't work too hard. We'll see you tonight at 8. You guys be good.